Okay, it's Friday. Early afternoon. Can't say I've done a whole lot today. Don't feel like I've done a whole lot this whole week. You know, one more resume out, so what? Until I get responses, it doesn't feel like much. But just got off the phone a few minutes ago with a lot of different people. I want to get my Japanese driver's license, so I need to know where the office was, and I had read an address, but addresses are kind of hard to figure out here in Japan, so I called the Foreigners Information Center. The first thing they did was start to read down the list of things that are necessary for your driver's license. I told them, I already know that. It's okay, just tell me where the office is. And the lady said, gave me an address, or gave me a town name and a phone number. It was different from the one that I had, but sounded like a more official center. Sounded like a place they'd actually have the driving center. So I, asked, well, how do I get there? And of course she didn't know, so she went to go ask some questions. And this was the third time she had put me on hold on the phone. And I was on hold for about a minute before I thought, I just called the place. They'll know how to get to their own office. It'd be much easier that way. So I hung up and called them. First thing they want to tell me, what you need for your Japanese driver's license. But this guy was more confused about it. Rather than every place else that I've read that you have to have your license in the U.S. for more than 3 months before you test, and you just have to have a license that proves that, license and a stamp on your passport saying when you came into Japan, so they know you were in your country for a while driving. Simple enough. This guy asked me, when did I get my first license? And I said, well, 1998, 1999. I was 16 and a half or so, way back in the day. And he said, oh, well, you'll need to bring that in. I said, wait a minute, my original license? And he wanted to tell me that I needed my original license from 8.5 years ago, 9 years ago, to get my license here in Japan, because that's what proves my driving record, is that I've had a license that long. And I told him politely that that was not necessary. Really wish that I had a more polite way to say you're full of shit. I don't need a license from 9 years ago. When you get a new license, you throw your old one away, or keep it as a keepsake, whatever, but it's not valid anymore. There's no point in really having it. But he spent 2 minutes arguing with me on the phone, telling me I needed my license from, my original license from when I was 16. And after I told him repeatedly that that was not necessary, I just asked him where his office was. He told me where the office was and how to get there. It's about a half hour, 45 minutes away from here, up towards Kyoto. And I have to take a train and then I have to take a bus. It's 45 minutes directly towards Kyoto, puts you almost in Kyoto. But you take the local train, because that's the only one that stops there, and then get off and take a bus for 10 minutes to get to their station. And really, in 20 minutes of talking to him, he gave me, 3 pieces of information that I needed. But it took him that whole 20 minutes to get those, to actually get to those pieces of information. 1, you don't need a reservation. 2, here's how to get to the office. And 3, the thing that he added for information that I didn't know is you have to bring your own picture for your ID. Everything else, he was just talking hot air the whole time. You need this, or he also didn't believe me when I told him I had things. He said, you need a translation of your license. And I said, I know, I have one. And he asked me, do you really, really have one? I said, yes, I do. He said, well, where'd you get it? I went to I went to your JAF website, Japan Auto Federation. They tell you where to get your license translated. And I sent it to them, and they translated it and mailed it back to me. He said, well, is that really the right one? I asked the question 4 times. It amazes me how little these people believe you, and how little they believe themselves. I know they're reading, that they're really they have to have cue cards. They're reading this stuff. He should know all this information by heart. Sounds like he's in his 40s. I'm sure he's been working at the same place his whole life. So little information, so much talking to get through to it. It's frustrating. But now I'm lined up for an adventure on Monday. And Shouldn't be too bad. Anyways, entertaining weekend coming up. Friend from Xingu's coming up for Saturday. During the day we're gonna probably go to Koreatown, visit some places around here, and then pop up to Kyoto for a bit, because Kyoto in the evening is cool. There's more to see up there. More nightlife down here, more to see up there. And if you go in the evenings up there, temples are empty, no one's around. It's beautiful. And then having a potluck on Sunday. I'll know one or two of the people who are showing up. I don't even know the names of the other people. I'm having Seth invite people so I can meet them. I figured it's a good way to go. And so far the only guest that I know who's probably coming is Seth's girlfriend's friends. They were going to invite one of her friends who had been to China and sounded really cool, really well traveled, but apparently she's out of town. So they invited another one of her friends, who's apparently a ballet dancer. I know that doesn't come across as quite as intellectual and interesting as someone who's been traveling in China, but I don't know, maybe she's a good conversationalist. That was my requirement for inviting people. I said, Seth, invite people, preferably ones who can talk. Because as it's noticeable, I talk a lot. I need other people who talk. Okay. I think I'm going to go print some pictures, clean up my apartment for the weekend. Okay.